It's a dark and stormy day, so the lighting's a little low, but the vibe is wild. And I am so excited to talk to you today about breaking free from comparison mindset, one-upping each other, and taking your voice back that I didn't even wait for my hair to dry. But I'm wearing my little mermaid shirt. And so the wet hair, I guess, kind of goes with the under the sea vibe. So, it's all kind of working. Sometimes the chaos works, but I got to just jump into this with you because I'm just really excited. And so if you have been struggling with comparing yourself to others, especially if you're a woman, I'm here today to just share that struggle with you and my vulnerability with it, but also, like I said, help you break free. You can't miss this. You got to stay with me. I promise it's going to help you. And part of the reason why I needed to just record it so quickly is because I'm like, there's somebody who needs to hear this. So this is for you. So, like many things in my life lately, this is inspired by some of the astrology that's going on. And just to kind of help you out, astrology is meant to be worked with. So, it's not like this end all be all determines your destiny. It's kind of like the energy of the cosmos inviting you to work with it in a certain way. So, that's what's really helpful about listening to Chani and her podcast is you kind of know what's going on and how you can work with that energy. It kind of is an invitation on what to reflect on, what to meditate on. And the theme of today, tomorrow, and the next few weeks is reflecting and reviewing because Mercury, the messenger planet, is stationing retrograde. And what that means is the planet appears to be moving backward, though it's not officially, but it's kind of just slowing down. It's looking like it's going backwards. It's not moving forward into its next alignment sign, whatever. It's kind of going backward. And so it's an invitation to reflect, to review. And because it's Mercury, the messenger planet, of course, my thoughts were drawn to the voice. And as I was sitting here, so it officially goes retrograde tomorrow, June 29th, I believe. Yeah, today is the 28th. So June 29th. And then for the next few weeks, it's going to be retrograde. So I started thinking about the voice, which is a common theme for me, right? Because that's also where my wounds are. But let's face it, that's where a lot of our wounds are, the voice, the message that we want to send the world about who we are and our life's purpose. Because our voice isn't just our physical words that we say, our voice is our identity. However, we speak. That applies to any form of communication, whether that's sign language or some other language besides English, because I know a lot of people in the English speaking world feel that that revolves around them. But like our voice is not just one language. It's not just one form of speaking. It's the expression of our identity, of our culture, of our connections. That's the voice. That's where messages are sent. So we're reflecting today on where messages are sent and how. And so don't think of the voice just as the physical sound of speaking. Think of it as the expression of your identity, of your culture, of your connections. Identity, culture, connections. There we go. Some bullet points that can help sometimes. But this is where a lot of our wounds are, right? A lot of us have wounds related to our voice, our identity, our culture, our connections. We've got individual and collective wounds related to this. So this is an invitation to reflect on the messages that we've been sending and the messages that we want to send with who we are, how we live our lives, and how we want to connect with others. And no surprise here, this relates to a dream or several dreams that I've had. I can't express enough how important it is for all of us to start paying attention to our dreams. Our dreams are our spirit, our higher self, our spirit guides, our mind, and our body speaking to us. It's this beautiful way of our body, mind, spirit, and the spirits of those who are guiding us to kind of collectively speak in symbols. And it also just makes you smarter to reflect on it because you have to think about it. Dreams speak in symbols. They express themselves in symbols, and it's kind of like, speaking of the symbolism of the voice, taking time to interpret it It's kind of like learning another language, but it will open so many doors for you in terms of your creative expression, your intellectual abilities, your ability to connect with others and interpret signs and symbols. And so I can't encourage you to, enough to start writing your dreams down, because I've been doing it for a couple years now, and it has incredibly enhanced my abilities as a psychic medium, but also my ability to understand my wounds, how I need to tend to them, and how I can help others with my wounds. And the theme that's been popping up, including last night, is I've been shown this childhood friend who I've had. It's someone who I've known since I was 5. And I didn't realize this until the last month or so through talking with Tom about some of these dreams and just reflecting on them, that I kind of modeled my early life after her. This particular friend lived a very pretty life, even having made like what some would call like a textbook mistake. She got pregnant at the end of high school, right? Like that's the ultimate, like, oh no, you fucked your life up forever. Like I'm putting that in quotes because that's not necessarily what it has to mean. It's not ideal to get pregnant as a teenager, but there's this huge stigma around, oh, you've ruined everything. No. But she did get pregnant at the end of high school. But then she went on to lead what looked like a very successful life. She very prettily followed the American dream in that, she married the guy who got her pregnant. She had more kids. They've moved from beautiful house to beautiful house, gone on lots of vacations, and seemed to have a lot of material success. And when I was younger and impressionable, right? 19, kind of aged 19 through 26, basically, I was still kind of in that mindset because of how I was raised and just cultural conditioning of, well, that's what leading a successful life means, right? You get married, you have kids, you have the material success, you live this quote unquote settled life, and you go on vacations when you can. That is the box that we've been put into as Americans, okay? Quote unquote Americans. That is the box of materialism. That is the box of consumerism. That is where we are put, and that is the one and only way to success. So I modeled my life after her. I didn't realize I was doing it at the time, but I totally did. Like I moved to the same city she lived in. I got a similar home. I got married and followed the similar path of just having more kids. And it was like, but I was miserable. That was also opening the door to some major self-destruction where I then plunged into escapism, affairs and numbing myself and thinking that, okay, I checked these boxes of what I was supposed to do. I'm miserable. This doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like me. I'm with the wrong person. I have all these things. I have this house. I have this life. I did what she did, and I did what I was told to do, and I hate it. So I imploded because I didn't know there was anything else I could do. I felt sort of stuck, and that escapism started looking really, really good. Right? I thought escapism, meaning just numbing myself and plunging into shallow relationships and just going out and ignoring, how I really felt inside. I thought that that was the only dream I had left because I did the dream that I thought I wanted, that I was conditioned to want, and I was miserable. This is one of the first ways that our voice gets damaged, because we are conditioned to compare ourselves to others, and we are conditioned to think that we want a life of material security. That is not the path to success, and that is not the path to who we really are. That is the path to the mask and the mask that we wear, and that is the path to continuing to compare ourselves to others. Well, I have this house, they have that house. I have this job, they have that job. My kids are doing this, their kids are doing that, and we lose ourselves in those check boxes. And this childhood friend showed up in my dream last night, and she was telling me in the dream about how she raised her baby in this attic. It was like an attic bedroom, and it was beautiful, like beautiful bright blue and white and clean, shiny, pearly. And, the only person she really saw was her husband, because he shared the bedroom sometimes. But it was like she lived this isolated life in this beautiful bedroom attic. But it was kind of more like a prison because when I was looking at it, I felt so sad. I was like, you're stuck. You're stuck in this beautiful place, but you're stuck. Well, quote unquote, beautiful. And as I thought about this dream, I was like, yeah, this isn't just about that friend. It's about everybody who's been conditioned to believe that the mask is their dream, that material success and quote unquote security is safety, that we fully express who we are and our dreams if we achieve this sort of success. That's not how human beings were meant to live. And what it does is it encourages comparison. It encourages a scarcity mindset of they have it, so I don't. Of theirs is this, so mine needs to be that. Of demeaning people, minimizing them to their possessions and their achievements because we feel better for a minute about what we have and what we're doing. I'm not blaming any one person. I'm blaming the culture of materialism, of capitalism, of consumerism, because guess what? There are people who profit off of our comparison mindset, our scarcity mindset, and our masks. There's also people who profit off of our escapism, the money that we put into our masks, to looking a certain way, to presenting a certain material abundance, to escapism, to buying drugs, alcohol, hotels for affairs, whatever it might be. There's people who profit off of our escapism, off of our masks. When we are conditioned to believe that the light that we brought into this world, the heart, the passion that we brought into this world, when we're conditioned to believe that that's not enough, well, then we buy it. And we encourage others to buy it and we compare what we've bought. And I'm not just talking about one outfit or one hairdo or one watch or whatever. I'm talking about the house, the lifestyle, the secret escapism stuff we do when that stuff clearly isn't enough. Because I know people out there are doing it. And I do mean that literally, but like also people engage in escapism. And I've had some very just real reminders lately of how destructive that can be. Not anything that's happening currently, but just memories that have returned, because this particular Mercury retrograde is about memories that are returning. And that's something I learned on Chani, is that in particular, we're supposed to reflect on the memories that are popping up and what they're telling us, because there's a lesson there. There's a lesson for me with this childhood friend, because I haven't even really talked to her in years. She's not really a part of my life right now, but she's returning for a reason, to send me a message that I need to send to you, which is that we have to drop the masks. We have to change this escapism, materialism culture and return to our voice, return to who we are. And this is where the episode is going to pivot to my shirt, The Little Mermaid, right? And this isn't just for women, it's for everyone, but I do need to speak directly to women right now, because we can't lie and say that we have not been conditioned to build a scarcity mindset with each other, meaning the stories that have been on TV, the messages that have been sent about our bodies, about our worth, about our, worthiness in terms of a man, the message that have been told to us through countless movies, commercials, consumerism, the way that stores are set up, the way that online stores are set up, is that there's not enough for all of us. We have to vie for attention. We have to be the hottest. We have to be the thinnest. We have to be the most funny. We have to be the most flirty. We have to be the most everything that men need. We have to be it all because there's only room for one. And God help us if we try to support each other. What? We can't support each other. We're against each other because there can only be one. The attention is only reserved for one. It won't cost much, just your voice. I was raised on The Little Mermaid, and I'm wearing this shirt because my daughter's in a production of it. Now, ironically enough, I signed her up for this to develop her voice, and the theater's fantastic. The staff's fantastic. And in many ways, they've modernized the musical so that it's not just about Ariel giving up her voice, you know? So to their credit, they've altered the story to be a little bit more um, inclusive and real to who women are. So kudos to them. But if we're looking at The Little Mermaid itself and that movie and that story, it sent a very clear message to young girls because I was a kid when I watched that movie. Ariel literally gives up her voice to be with a man. She trades who she is to be with a man. And if you look at it, she's collecting all these material things from the human world. That story was almost like a warning to quote unquote Americans, especially American girls. Although it conditioned us to want, like it tells the story of give up your voice and you'll get everything you want. And because of all the pretty colors and the pretty music, it makes it seem like what we want is that male attention. There's all kinds of dopamine hits that existed long before scrolling culture and social media. There's pretty things, there's shiny things put in stories. There's this promise of love and attention that we're conditioned that people of the female gender should want. And all we have to do to get it is give up our voice. And that's exactly what happened. So it's almost like even though that story was feeding into this culture of women giving up their voice and self-expression, even though it fed into that, it also was a warning that this is where the culture is going. This is where the culture has been. Because look at what was in the media in the 90s. Like I grew up in the 90s and early 2000s when all those teen movies came out, like specifically like She's All That and, you know, 10 Things I Hate About You and all these movies came out where these teenage girls were never been kissed as well, were put through this crude transformation of change your physical appearance, give up who you really are, and you'll get the man, you'll get the attention. Because remember, our voice is not just how we talk, it's our self-expression, it's our culture, it's how we connect. We were told this very specific story about giving up our voice. And I don't know about you, but it's high fucking time we reclaim that. Because the story doesn't just apply to women. There's plenty of ways that that people who identify as male, but also folks of all genders, have been taught to conform to a particular way of self-expression and being that has cost their voice, that has cost their ability to connect with others, that has cost their ability to create a culture of connection. Because, my friends, the reality is when we connect with each other, when we support who each other really are, not the materialist masks we wear, but our soul gifts, our resilience, our strength, our art, our true beauty, and how we want to express ourselves. That's when we actually build a sustainable, equal world, when we learn how to honor each other's gifts. And I'm going to go ahead and say the reason that we don't is because someone is profiting off of our comparison. Someone, especially in the country of the United States, lots of someone's have done a fantastic job of building a culture of teaching us to compare and to have the scarcity mindset of I have if she has it, I don't. And so we pour our money into making sure we're the only ones who have it. We'll have what? In the end, what do we really have? Empty praise that doesn't really satisfy us. So we plunge further into escapism and passive aggressive behavior and scarcity. The irony of this whole escapism thing is that it actually and buying things is that it actually creates more scarcity because none of us are living in the true expression of ourselves. I had another dream, same night, where one of my cousins was in it and she had lost a bunch of weight in the dream. And in the dream, I was like, oh no, she lost weight. She looks great. Oh man, now I don't have, that being thinner thing. Like now, I used to be thinner than her, but now I don't know. It's leveled the playing field a little bit. And that dream was showing me that conditioning because we can all relate. And I'm being vulnerable and sharing that to you. Women are literally taught that the thinner you are, if you're thinner than someone, especially, well, if you're thinner than another woman, you have something on her, meaning you're more valuable than her. You've got a leg up on her. That is what we were all conditioned to believe, especially just related to our body. It's the same thing if our breasts are bigger or our hair is more textured or just whatever the fuck it is. We were conditioned to believe that we needed to make our bodies more desirable. And if ours was more desirable in the way that, the male gaze and the way that sexism has taught us, well, then we've got something on her. What a primitive way of thinking. What a primitive way of conditioning, this vying for shit. Who could we be if we actually were able to release that conditioning? Because I'm not blaming women. I am blaming the fucks who put all the ads out there and the stories out there that taught us to do that. I'm blaming the fucks who created that culture so they could make money off of it. But nobody is really benefiting from this. That's why all the people at the top with all the money are psychos and pedos because they're crazy. Because this profit at whatever cost actually doesn't work. And our country is at that peak right now where it's like it's showing how much that corruption doesn't work, how this profit at whatever cost doesn't work. And so I'm inviting us to bring our awareness to it, to bring our awareness, because having this dream where I saw my cousin didn't solve it all for me, but it brought my attention to how deep that conditioning went, that scarcity of, well, if she did this, then I don't have it, or I should judge her, I should compare myself to her, when really the mindset that we should have is supporting each other, wanting everybody to be more healthy, whatever that looks like for them, because that doesn't necessarily just mean thinner, right? Especially women, we want to support each other. And our true expression, which isn't just all about our bodies, certainly not our bodies like that. And it's still out there. I've been watching Peacock lately because, Parks and Rec is on Peacock. There's cool documentaries, but that means I'm also watching the ads on Peacock. And I can't tell you how much I've seen these ads for Love Island. Fuck that show. Fuck The Bachelor. Fuck all those shows because it's further pushing this escapism mindset. It's pretty. Look at the outfits they wear on there. They're pretty outfits. It's glamorous looking. It's pushing this culture of escapism as the only way to achieve success. We got to turn it off. We got to tell different stories because escapism isn't it. And you know what I'm talking about. If you've ever had an affair, if you've ever numbed yourself with alcohol or drugs, if you've ever numbed yourself with a mask, meaning maybe you didn't have an affair or numb yourself with a mask, but or numb yourself with alcohol or some other substance, but you wear this mask all the time where you pretend like your house, your vacations, your everything are enough, and you knock other people down, or you're always judging what they have versus what you have, it doesn't work. So solving this begins with bringing our awareness to it. Because true growth doesn't happen overnight. True growth is first bringing our awareness to it. So pay attention. What escapism have you been engaging in? Where have you been comparing yourself to other people, especially other women? Where do you feel that scarcity mindset of, well, if they have it, I don't? We've got to stop with that. So first, to solve it, we bring our awareness to it. Second, we pay more attention to this and this merchant. And by this, I'm pointing at my heart. Sorry for those who are on audio. I'm pointing at my heart. Something inside you is screaming for your attention. Who you really are, your true voice is right here. It's still in your heart, calling you to express it and to help others express theirs. Our voice is our true self-expression. The ways we really want to connect through compassion and empathy and resourcing each other, helping each other. That's who we really are, my friends. That's who humanity is supposed to be. We're supposed to be people who are resilient, compassionate, strong, and helpful, more helpful when we are together. Okay? We need to be together. I don't know what just happened with my hands. I kind of did that Gabriella move, from that song, but it just felt right in the moment, okay? So I invite you to bring your attention to ways that you may have been conditioned to compare yourselves to others. I invite you to bring your attention to where you feel like your true voice, your true self-expression might have been muffled because there's a wound there. And I also invite you to open that wound because looking at the wound, feeling the sting is the first steps toward healing it for yourself, for those you love, and then eventually for the collective. Because these wounds that you know personally are the best ways that you can help the world because people can relate to you. Take the mask off. I can't encourage us enough to take the mask off. The true people who change this world are those who are vulnerable enough to admit when there's a wound there. The more we numb, the more pain we cause ourselves, ironically enough, and those around us. Bring your attention to these wounds and then allow yourself the space to take your voice back. Who are you really? What did you dream about when you were a kid? What did you pretend to do when you were a kid? How did you express your imagination? Sometimes envy can be a teacher too. That's something Mel Robbins taught me, is that if you're envious of something, it also means that maybe you were meant to do it. And just because someone else is doing it doesn't mean you can't. It means they can be your teacher. You can learn from them. You don't knock them down, you learn from them. So the positive side of envy, because every feeling has a positive and negative side, or maybe not even to limit it that much, there's multiple ways to interpret feelings. And our envy is also our teacher of what we're capable of. Listen to what's inside. You heal your self-expression, you heal your voice by remembering it and living authentically with who you are and not who you've been conditioned to be. Not who you've been told to be so people can make money off of you. So bring your awareness to the ways you've been comparing yourself and remember who you are. And be brave enough to live out who you are. And that starts with giving that thing attention. If it's dance, go take a dance class. If you know that you're in a mask relationship, it might be time to leave that relationship, even if it means you have to give up some of this material security. Because those who are living this mask on middle class life are harming the world more than they think. Your complacency is not secluded to your own little corner. We need everybody to build a compassionate, equal world. And you can't post on social media about how shitty Trump is and then go back to your numbed life. It doesn't work like that. You have to live authentically with who you are. So maybe what this means for you is being brave enough to take that mask off, to risk being vulnerable for a little while when it comes to your material things and rebuilding from who you actually are. Somebody who's lived through this, who's lost the material things, I can tell you it is 100% worth it to live authentically with who you are and let your self-destructive ways be your teacher. I learned something from my self-destruction, that I wasn't living authentically with who I was, and that self-destruction is not sustainable. So maybe it was time to do the hard work to rebuild on my terms, not the terms of envying somebody else's life and thinking it was for me, not envying the mask and materialism life, building from who I actually was. This is an invitation for you to do the same. And the time is now. And I'm here to help, Listen to my other episodes. I've got countless episodes where I teach you how to do these self-reflective things, and they're coming from my direct experience and the experts that I've studied. One gift that I have is the ability to absorb lots of information and to disperse it. So I am sharing that gift with you right now because it's what I've dedicated my life to gathering information from myself, from my spirit guides, from my ancestors, from the experts who are alive today. I gather it and I put it, in an episode for you. So listen to my other episodes. Share this with someone who it could help because the time is now and the world needs to know who you are. You need to know who you are. You are so powerful and resilient and meant to help your sisters, to lift your sisters up, not to think that if they have it, you don't. Because women, especially, imagine who we could be if we didn't have to compare ourselves. Imagine who we could be if we genuinely were working from a place of supporting each other, believing in each other, and believing in ourselves. What if we could actually break that culture that has put us into tiny little boxes where we're valued only for how somebody else judges the worth of our bodies? What if we could remember our power? What if we could help our sisters reclaim it? What would the world look like if women remembered? If women reclaimed? What could we build? Because I think we can all agree it's high time that a woman was in a seat of power, is it not? It's high time we turned off his show and directed our attention back to ours. Who could we be if all of us reclaimed our feminine energy, regardless of what gender we identify as? It's time we did so. But in the meantime, thanks for coming.